What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got some updates, mostly roster moves going on with the Dolphins that I want to get to. I was gonna make a video yesterday, but I didn't get to it with some things, including some stuff, some minor stories regarding stuff in other sports or whatever. Mostly, obviously, keeping an eye on college football because that's going to have a major impact on the NFL, particularly the draft and so on and so forth. And obviously, the college football season is slowly but surely just collapsing into full decay. And so, it's gonna be problematic. But there was one other thing. I can't even remember off the top of my head now what some of the stories were. There was one thing though, about some star player, I want to say it was in hockey, that decided to opt out of the postseason. And because of, I believe it was because of COVID-19, if I'm not mistaken. He decided to, concerns or whatever. But it's like, okay, well, now you have some, a star player opt out for the playoffs. So what the fuck was the point of him even being there for the whole, for the regular season, right? So that was going to be the point of me mentioning that. But anyway, let's go ahead and just get to these moves made by the Dolphins. Looks like they have been awarded safety Jeremiah Dinson off of waivers from Detroit. They placed defensive tackle Brandon Bryant on the reserve COVID-19 list, who, from what I have seen, it should be just him and Xavier Howard who are on the COVID-19 list as it stands right now, because they have activated guard Eric Flowers off of the COVID-19 list. They have also, I saw reports that they had also gotten rid of safety and Adrian Colbert, or whatever, however you say his name. I don't know that it is official yet, but I've seen reports that they are planning to release Adrian Colbert, a safety. So it would make sense that they brought in another safety, since they'd be getting rid of one, and safety is still a position that I think, until, at least until proven otherwise, has some concerns, and could potentially be a weak spot of the defense, and that secondary. But also, let's note that with Adrian Colbert being released, or potentially being released, if he does get released, is expected to be released, then that's yet another person added to the list of, one, failed evaluations by this current regime. The list of players that they've brought in since the time of the purge that have worked out is super small, and the amount of players that they have given up on, guys that they brought in, right? I'm not counting, holdovers from the previous regime, just the massive clearing, right? Because they got rid of almost everybody. They cleared like 90% of the roster or whatever, right? And then brought in all their guys, right? And almost none of them have worked out to this point. Adrian Colbert was supposed to be another one of the guys from last year that was going to be a carryover. I can't remember all the guys off the top of my head right now, but there was a defensive tackle that they got rid of, and like a linebacker or something, and or like a receiver. I don't remember. But there were several guys that they got rid of that were supposed to be carryovers from last year, and now they're gone. Right? And so, but then overall, when you look overall at the list, when they took a team that was technically average, right? Whatever, and but had, a team, right? It wasn't a team comprised only of like practice squad guys, backups, undrafted guys, blah blah blah. There was a mix of, veterans, etc., established players, whatever. There was talent. There was definitely, plenty of talent and leadership, etc., etc. And then they completely stripped all of that away. And then they just brought in and built an entire team of, those perennial backups, etc., etc., and all their guys. And so far, almost none of them have worked out. Even including, you know, a bunch of first round guys that they brought in, right? Like Taco Charlton, right? Or Robert Kimdiche, right? Stuff like that. Josh Rosen has been a massive failure to this point. At least with this organization. Anyway, whatever. Before I get off onto some massive tangent, point is it's just disappointing. And it's just, I saw one comment, somebody said something about, I'm paraphrasing, but the fact that they keep churning the roster over shows that they're doing the right things until they get it right. Like, what the fuck does that mean? First of all, obviously you got to keep trying until you get it right. That's like the most basic thing there is, unless you just want to be a quitter, obviously, right? But like, obviously you got to keep trying to get it right. But the fact that they're constantly churning the roster doesn't prove that they're moving in the right direction. If anything, and especially the longer it goes on, only proves that they're failing. Because if they can't ever get guys to stick, then that proves, and this is my point, that it proves that they're not properly evaluating guys and that they suck at their jobs. And so they cleared the roster after 2018, right? Almost entirely. There were almost no holdovers from the previous team. Brought in all their guys. The entirety of last season, the roster was constantly churning over. This entire offseason, it's been constantly churning over. And guys that you would think are going to be there from last year, like Adrian Colbert, for example, are not going to be there. And that was one of the guys that was expected, that actually, like, played well for us. You know, okay, I mean, whatever. And then when you add in, and, you know, to wrap this up, then when you add in the fucked up offseason, the pretty much entirely brand new Dolphins roster, yet again, they're super young and inexperienced, yet again. The veterans that you do have project to be overpaid reaches for their production level. Then you have an entirely new coaching staff, pretty much, with a couple exceptions. And then you also have almost entirely new playbooks. Like, when you add all these things, there's going to be no cohesion, no chemistry. The offensive line is going to be trash. It's going to be trash, which means the rest of the team is going to be trash. Okay? Etc., etc. They actually have a pretty tough schedule. You know, I don't put too much emphasis on that, but it is a data point that plays into it. And especially considering that every other team in the league has an established team now, right? With veterans that have been not just in the league for a while, but on that team. They actually have chemistry and cohesion. The Dolphins are going to have none of that. Not a single fucking bit of that. If people think that this limited time that they have in training camp is going to do anything for them in that regard, not to mention then, of course, then the fact that a lot of these guys are not really in football shape, and there's going to be tons of injuries at some point. Like, and the Dolphins are not going to be immune to injuries. Like, anybody that thinks that the Dolphins, should there even be a full season, right, if they prove me wrong and somehow manage to play out a full season, if anybody that thinks the Dolphins are going to be good or even come close to it, even if anybody that thinks they're going to be in the middle of the pack, you got to be fooling yourself. Because look, am I saying it's impossible? No. Crazy things happen, of course. However, the probability of that happening is like astronomically small. I know that sounds crazy because astronomical definitely usually is referred to big things, but whatever, you get the point. So look, it's minute. The percentage is tiny, right, that's going to happen. Even with the expanded playoffs, it's unfathomable that the Dolphins make it into the playoffs. It's pretty unfathomable that they'll have a winning record, so that would be 9-7. Okay, it's not even likely that they're going to hit 8-8. It's just, dude, it's not. Like, the probability of the Dolphins, I mean, look, there's definitely, you know, Vegas is going to be running the odds. They've already started doing it. The sports bettors, they have us at the bottom of the league because the numbers are, we're going to be shit. right? So look, you can be a fan and have, you know, the optimism because you're a fan, I guess, right? But you would be fooling yourself and then setting yourself up for immense disappointment if you don't at least acknowledge the reality that they're not going to get there. If you say, but, you know, I understand that the likelihood is super small and it's probably not going to happen. So that's what I'm ready for. It's unfortunate. It sucks. I hate that because I'm a fan of the team and I really want that. But because I am a fan and, you know, I'm eternally optimistic and crazy things can happen, they're going to be great. They're going to turn it around and blah, blah, blah. But there's no data to suggest that that's actually going to come to fruition. Like, it's insanity to think that it will. So again, should there even be a full season at all, the Dolphins will be trash. It's ridiculous to think otherwise. And look, if people want to call me negative because I acknowledge the fucking clear reality off of the fucking information that we have, okay, I guess. Sorry that the world sucks and reality is negative. It's not my fault, you know, and I'm not the creator of that negativity because I report it and because I speak the truth. Anyway, with that, I'm going to get out of here. I definitely ended up going off longer than I wanted to, but it's been a minute and I definitely had some things to talk about. And obviously there were these roster moves, etc., etc. And, you know, there are major implications, lots of things moving around, lots of things developing. Yeah, so anyway, look, as it stands, there's only a month, 4 weeks, less than a month technically, but 4 weeks until the very first games are played. So time is ticking. It's not going to be much longer, and we're going to see how this thing goes, man. We'll see. It's going to be, boy, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be anything other than a giant shit show. Actually, you know what? In fact, there was where is it? There's this tweet from Omar Kelly that just, it was pretty absurd. So, I remember what it was. I'm looking for it, but I remember what he said. He had said that Eric Flowers was taken off the COVID-19 list, right? He was removed from the COVID-19 list after being on it for 2 weeks, okay? So, and then he said, so that means we can speculate that if a player gets it, because he is acknowledging, I guess, he probably has more information on this than I do, more direct information, but acknowledging that he actually tested positive for it. Eric Flowers did. He actually tested positive. So first off, let's note that if he tested positive, that means he came through the illness or, you know, had the virus, tested negative, and is fine. That does not mean that the virus didn't do some sort of irreparable damage to him that will cause him some other fucking issue later. So I hope it doesn't happen. But there is a possibility, if he did actually have the virus, that it did some sort of damage to his brain, his lungs, his heart, that could cause him some sort of problem in the middle of the season, right? I had talked about a basketball player, I think it was, that had, it was basketball, because he left the NBA bubble to go have further testing, and he's going to miss the rest of the season because of it. So that is a possibility with Eric Flowers or anybody that has tested positive, because there could be long-lasting, lingering effects. Okay, additionally though, he said, but we can speculate that a player would spend 2 weeks away. I mean, reasonably, they could spend less time. But reasonably, they could also spend more time. If a player gets it, because he apparently, you know, from what I'm gathering, I don't know this to be certain, but it doesn't seem as if he did get sick, that his, you know, sickness was severe, really severe, right? Because he obviously didn't have to be hospitalized, okay? But if a player gets hospitalized, then clearly they could spend more than 2 weeks off the fucking team. So, what kind of dumbass fucking statement is that? This is why Omar Kelly is a moron. Because he just says ridiculous things like this. Like, So, and I quote tweeted him, and in my quote tweet, I was like, so, and I even did the little emoji, the emoji, whatever. Anyway, I was like, so I wasn't aware that only one data point is enough to determine a trend or identify a trend, because it's not. You need more. It's even 2 data points is not enough to actually determine a trend. At minimum, you need 3. Then you can, because at 3, you can start to determine a pattern. Once you determine a pattern, then you can determine an overall trend. But then you still need more data. 1 data point. So what kind of dumbass fucking statement is that? One player spent 2 weeks, 14 days on the COVID-19 list after testing positive. So we can speculate that if it happens during the season, they're going to just miss 2 weeks. No, you dumbass. God, what a moron. Like, I mean, what kind of fucking, like, it blows my mind how dumb people are. Like, how do you think that is a reasonable thing to say? Anyway, whatever. I'm sorry. More tangents, more time, God. Look, the world is crazy right now. And look, that's, all right. One more thing, and then I'm definitely getting out of here. That's another thing, right? So with the craziness going on with the election and with the civil unrest and all the other shit going on in the country, even if the fucking pandemic and the virus isn't enough to stop the NFL and to stop sports altogether from playing, I'm pretty sure that by the time the election is over, if what I think is going to happen happens, well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, look, what I'm saying is other factors could affect it as well. And so, look, I mean, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have, it's going to be fascinating. There's definitely going to be a lot of things developing, both football and, otherwise, in the next few months, and it's gonna be a ride for sure. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna finally get up out of here. I know I just been spitting a bunch of random ass shit, so sorry, I guess. I'm gonna get out of here. So now I'm about. I hope you guys do appreciate my perspectives, though. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.